Alright, so welcome to another video on the Inav playlist, and in this video we're going to actually flash a drone. In the last video we downloaded Inav and got the drivers and gave a little bit of tips as to how to solve some driver issues. Generally we're using Impulse RC driver fixer. Now this one is a very tricky video because I have this quadcopter. This flight controller, it uses the Betaflight firmware. It currently has Betaflight firmware on it. So this video will give you two things: switching between firmwares, as in a Betaflight or ArduPilot firmware, to use that quadcopter on Inav, and also if you already have an Inav firmware installed on your drone, how to use the firmware flasher. And that's generally it. So first off, I'm going to start with a different configurator to the Inav configurator. If I click on connect here, I can see here this firmware is the firmware variant is not supported because this is the Betaflight firmware installed on this Holybro H7 flight controller. But if I type in status in my CLI, I clearly see that here I have information about my flight controller. That means it is detected, and you can also see it's detected up here using the COM port 24. Now what I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to disconnect and I'm going to go to the firmware flasher. If you already have a Inav firmware installed on your flight controller, this auto select target button will not be disabled. You'll be able to click it. Once you have internet connection, it will allow you to actually get that firmware automatically based on the new model of Inav. What you're then going to do is ensure you have no boot sequence and full chip enabled. Now, since I do not have Inav firmware installed on that, I have to get my firmware manually. Let me show you how I do so. So I'm going to type in Inav firmware online. I'm going to go to the GitHub that says it's basically the releases here. So I'm going to Inav and not the configurator. And here you can see the latest firmware is 9.0.1. I'm going to scroll down until I find the first instance of assets, and this is it right here. So it's 226 assets. I'm going to scroll and I need to click on show all if I do not see my asset right here, if you don't see my firmware. So I'm going to scroll all the way until I find Holybro. But as a matter of fact, my board is a Kakut H7. So I'm going to go to the find by doing ctrl F, or I can simply just use find somewhere around here. Here you can see, you can find, click on find, it's here. I'm going to type in Kakut H7. And basically it was in front of me, I didn't realize that. But this is my Kakut H7 and I'm not using the wing one, I'm using the V2. So I'm going to click on it right here and it downloads automatically. I already have it downloaded, so that's good to go. Now in my Inav configurator, I'm going to click on load firmware local. And I'm going to click on this firmware which I just downloaded and then click on open. Now I'm going to click on flash firmware. Now I have an error right here, and this error is a driver communication error. And let me try out one out of two solutions. It says no response from bootloader, programming is failed. Now I'm going to open Impulse RC. So I'm going to open Impulse RC Java Fixer. And while my drone is connected and still trying to flash, I'm going to try to see if it actually works for me. So here it says entering bootloader. And here you see a device in DFU mode. So now I'm going to click on flash firmware again. and it works like a charm. Another way you can actually enter DFU mode if you don't have Impulse RC driver fixer, or sometimes you might get an error from Impulse RC driver fixer saying more than one device is detected. That's something I actually got when I was doing that exact thing. What you can do is disconnect your drone by pressing the disconnect button here. That's once you are connected. So disconnect, ensure that you have your SMT 32 driver here, your STM32 driver right here. Ensure that it detects your drone while you are disconnected, and in the CLI all you type is DFU, and that's generally it. It will reboot that drone from that fail-safe mode or from that bootloader mode directly into DFU and recognize the device up here as a DFU device. So if Impulse RFC doesn't work for you and it gives you the error saying that more than one devices or too many devices were detected, therefore you simply use the same CLI where I use the status command, and instead of status just type in DFU, and basically it will just boot you into DFU mode instantly, and then this will work without having any errors. So let us wait for this to finish. Here you can see that the programming is successful, and now I can connect. And here it just me a little bit of menus for default. I'm not using a plane, I'm using a wing. So I'm just going to, as you're going to keep current settings, not really going to do anything much. And here I can clearly see that my drone, it works, and I can reset the Z axis by facing the drone forward, and I can see here that everything here on my pre-arming checks. So there's different checks I can have for pre-arming and so on, and everything looks like it works just fine, and I'm very happy with it. Now it's considered similar to Betaflight, but at the end of the day it's way more advanced than Betaflight, and it's gonna do quite well. Now I'm gonna stop this video right here and make another video for the same installing of your firmware, but this time that if you already have Inav on your flight controller instead of another configurator. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for sticking by, and see you in the next video.